Manly, the glamour side of the competition, now realise it's a weekly battle if they're to reach the September finals. Today they take on a confident Cronulla side. In a major upset last week, the Sharks defeated the Premiers Penrith 18 points to 14. With both these sides equal on 4 points after 2 wins this year, Manly know a loss could mean the end of the road for 92. And Cronulla would like nothing more than the Sea Eagles scalp to answer their early season critics.
Last week's win by Cronulla doesn't get the Sharks off the hook because they've yet to prove they can win away from home. Today they're without Andrew Ettinghausen on origin duty, Mark McGaw injured, and Gavin Miller spent 3 days in hospital during the week. They're a young, new-look side, so along with Miller, experienced second rower Les Davidson has to lead up his teammates and take the battle to the Manly forwards. Manly are missing Ian Roberts and Kevin Iro out injured and Martin Bella in origin camp, but it's not player strength that Manly lacks, it's player performance, commitment in defence and confidence in attack that has failed Manly in 2 embarrassing second half debacles. The Sea Eagles will be hoping the return of fullback Matthew Ridge can steady the ship. His kicking game could be the platform on which to build a more disciplined display. Today, Arthur is busy coaching the Sharks and John Peart is with me. On paper, if names mean anything, Manly should win easily, John.
Well, Warren, unfortunately, games aren't played on paper. I think the key is with the Manly side that if morale's down, it doesn't matter how hard you try. Manly have got to match Cronulla's enthusiasm in the forwards. They've got Hick, Borton and Raper. That's a dash and a good dose of enthusiasm. If they can match that, they've got the big names to carry on with this game.
Can Manly stop the rot? Important game for both teams as the Sea Eagles take on the Sharks.
From Townsville in the north to Whyalla in the south, across Australia, you're watching the country's premier rugby league competition, live and uninterrupted on ABC Television, your national network.
Fairly gloomy conditions here at Brookvale Oval for this very important game. And not a big crowd either here to support the home team. This afternoon on the sideline, we're joined by former New Zealand and Eastern Suburbs skipper Hughie McGann. Hugh, pleasant New Zealand-like conditions.
Yes, Warren, not only the conditions look like New Zealand, but there's also a few New Zealand faces in the crowd here out at Brookvale Oval. A tough day out for both teams, and just a special hello to Doug Daly in Hospital St Vincent's private hospital. Hope for you Doug, Manly can come out with a win for you.
Manly on the field, and the team at fullback Matthew Ridge, on one wing Tony Iro with Craig Hancock on the other wing, Darryl Williams in the centre alongside Michael O'Connor, 5'8" Cliff Lyons, halfback Jeff Tuvey. Few changes in the forward lineup. Des Hasler at lock forward, Chris White in the second row with John Jones, David Hosking and Matt Dunford in the front row with Tony Mestrov making his debut. The coach is Graham Lowe. The Sharks on the way. And very few familiar names in this Cronulla lineup. At fullback is Chris Quinn. On one wing, it's Lindsay Bowen with Glenn Coleman on the other. Darren Higgins and Paul Bell in the centre. Mitch Healy and Stuart Topper, the halves. David Borton in at lock forward. The second row pair, Gavin Miller and Les Davidson. And the front row, Andrew Hick, Aaron Raper and Danny Lee. Coach, Arthur Beetson. Well, Gavin Miller spent 3 days in hospital with a throat abscess. He only got out of hospital on Thursday, and it'll be a big ask for him. He was on a drip. He wasn't able to eat very much during that couple of days. Matthew Ridge, he's back from rib and back injury problems. He's been out for a couple of weeks, but a very important man for Manly today. And at the back of the stand, the coach making the stand rumble as he goes up the stairs.
He looks like the stand, doesn't he?
Taking his position at the back of the stand where most coaches feel they can get a good view of the game, full perspective from up the back. And in the last 10 years at Brookvale, Manly have won 11 games and drawn 1 out of 16. Big record over Cronulla. Cronulla, in fact, getting a draw against Manly here last year. But apart from that, they've struggled here at Brookvale Oval in the last decade. Referee is Graham West. And play underway from the boot of John Jones. And waiting deep down there to bring it back is Andrew Hick, the front rower. Cronulla playing at home for the first time last week with their ground open and the new stand open, and there's a good hit coming in from John Jones immediately, trying to stir up his teammates. Les Davidson goes in amongst them.
Yeah, that's a tremendous hit by John Jones. He has been the form forward in the Manly pack, and they'll be looking to him to set the trend.
Mitch Hurley breaks loose out of the 22. Manly's defence just a little thin on the edge of the ruck. Gavin Miller now takes on Tuvey. But in come the reinforcements. Fifth tackle. Standing on the blind side is Healy. Didn't have much angle to work with and quite content to keep it in play. Ridge on the boot. He's quickly taken by Paul Bell.
Well, the first hurdle over Warren for Arthur Beetson. They did maintain possession for 6 tackles. That's something that Arthur will be hoping will continue today.
Cliff Lyons to Michael O'Connor. Cliff Lyons in a dummy half, calling the forwards to come off him. Chris White was looming up. Lyons tried to steal away. A couple of big hits coming in from Davidson on Tony Mestrov. Mestrov has been playing good football in reserve grade, and as Graham Lowe cast an eye through the lower grades, trying to find some replacements after a couple of poor performances, he's come up with Tony Mestrov. In the earlier games in the under-21s, it was a win to Cronulla, 6-4, and in reserve grade, another win to the Sharks, 16-4. A good start for Cronulla in the lower grades. 2 out of 2.
Yeah, I think the real question mark today is on the Manly forwards. Not a lot of big names in that pack, but they've really got to rise to the occasion. I think if they can do that, Manly could perhaps get on the winning list, but gee, they need a win today.
Danny Lee broke through the first tackle. Just sliding off him was Matt Dunford, but there were plenty of others there to help out. As Aaron Raper puts the kick through. Good defence, good chase on Matthew Ridge. Dave Borton down there, but the penalty has been conceded. Hanging on to Ridge's boot, not letting him play the ball. It was Paul Bell and also Dave Borton down there.
Yes, well, a costly penalty, even though they'd only conceded 1 tackle there, but here's the incident. And Bell just going on with the tackle a little too long.
Hugh, what do you think Graham Lowe would have been looking at in the Manly side to try and arrest this slump they've been in the last couple of weeks?
Well, he probably would have been looking at quite a few things, his forward play, obviously, and there must be a concern with Graham as far as Cliff Lyons is concerned. Certainly Cliff out of form this season, but it's a game like today that he really needs to stamp his mark and really get those forwards running. And it's surprising to see him in close to the ruck area here, and I think that's a trend for the game. We're going to see a lot more of Cliff Lyons closer to the ball.
His kick out of dummy half, not a very successful one as it deflected. So the Sharks come away with it, and this is Chris Quinn. Gets the pass back to Raper. But yes, it's already noticeable that Lyons has been getting into dummy half. In fact, he's been shooing away Matt Dunford from that position. Points scored in attack. You can see Manly's record in attack is pretty good. In fact, Cronulla's is the worst in the league. And Cronulla have got 6 more tackles. Playing it back as Topper. Now it's Gavin Miller. Back inside as Quinn. Coleman. Chased by O'Connor. And finally gets him to ground. Just on the Manly side of halfway. Topper. Healy. Jones gets hold of him. Back it goes to Danny Lee. Hasler low. Takes Lee with Chris White over the top. Raper at dummy half. Topper. Miller. Had Coleman. And a high tackle coming in from Jeff Tuvey.
Yeah, they're trying to work the ball wide, but they didn't have any troops out there.
You could use a tape measure to find out if there's a centimetre between Jeff Tuvey and Stuart Topper. They're both close to the smallest men in rugby league. Maybe Alfie Langer could give them a run for their money as Miller stabs in behind Hancock, and that's a fine kick by Gavin Miller.
it's a good professional start by Cronulla. We've seen them, as John mentioned earlier, go through their set of 6 and playing the game down in Manly's half of the field. And so I think Arthur would be happy with that so far.
Yeah, and Craig Hancock taking a little bit of insurance then, letting the ball go into touch.
Hasler from the scrum base with the ball. He had a busy weekend last week. Des Hasler playing in the City Country match and then backing up on the Saturday against Illawarra, but unable to force his way into the New South Wales squad. There he is, a very hard-working player, just coming back from injury in the last few weeks. Lyons goes himself. Jones, O'Connor, claps on the pace. Hancock, good tackle from Coleman. And Les Davidson helps slam him to ground. 5th tackle. Or in fact, this is the 5th tackle coming up now. Lyons again kicking from dummy half.
He's been getting to dummy half regularly. He's trying to get these forwards moving.
I think a ploy by Graham Lowe, sending the players closer into the ruck. Cliff Lyons in around the ruck area, and Des Hasler, previous on that scrum feed, was actually at halfback. And I think, again, he wants to get Des Hasler involved in the game and a lot closer to the ball.
So great defence by Tony Iro and Darryl Williams on Chris Quinn, and also Lindsay Bound, the winger. Rugged defence from the backs. Now they swing it wide. Bound down the touchline. He cuts back inside, running well. Lindsay Bound played up in Newcastle last year with Lakes United.
Yeah, good short side play. David Borton went down the blind and put Bound away.
Stuart Topper cut down, 10 metres short of halfway, 5th tackle. Raper couldn't find anyone else to give it to, and he's put a fairly useful kick downfield because a good chase comes and surrounds Matthew Ridge. Healy down there. So too Borton, or Raper, the kicker as well. Hancock. That misdirected kick worked well as Andrew Eddinghausen looks on. Very intent look on his face. In camp with the New South Wales team, Eddinghausen. Here's David Hosking. One of the first touches of the ball for him.
Yeah, total tackles to date, Manly 42 and Cronulla 24, so Manly have to work a little harder at this stage. With Cliff Lyons still in there at dummy half, I think he'd be playing dummy half when they're coming out of their own half. Maybe he'll move wider down in the Cronulla territory. That'd be wise because they could spread their attack a little more.
Chris Quinn brings the kick back and he bumps off Hasler. Quinn, 23 years of age, a local junior, has been with Cronulla for 4 years. Gavin Miller, the warhorse, knocked over the second time. Penalty to Cronulla against Dunford, and Jones up there in the tackle as well.
Yeah, here's Gav. Not a bad hit by John Jones as usual. And Dunford probably spent a little bit too much time around that area. And a much needed penalty to Cronulla. They're looking good, Cronulla. They're playing a lot of control. I think the big fella will be fairly happy with things today.
Kevin Iro, a withdrawal today from the Manly team. That certainly was a blow because he would have been looking to come back into form, but an ankle injury caused him to withdraw. Les Davidson up the middle. Flicks it out the back. Topper onto it. Almost got away from Hasler. They're only 30 metres out. Short ball from Miller to Borton. Good, neat work in close to the ruck. Probing away Cronulla. Miller calls for it. Healy. He's got Bell alongside him, chasing the kick through. Back goes Hancock, so too is Ridge. And Ridge covers it up well. A neatly placed kick through and plenty of chase, putting the pressure on.
Yeah, rehearsed play by Cronulla. They stuck 3 rucks one side and coming back from that tap, they've plugged the ball in nice and low. Matthew Ridge out of his ground early, but did well to fall on that ball.
Paul Bell chasing hard. He had it well in his sights. Lyons drops out. Taken well by Coleman. And nailed by Jones and also Tony Mestrov. Hick.
Yeah, missed tackles Manly 6. Cronulla yet to miss one. So they're doing a lot more work, the Manly side.
Miller cuts across the ruck to Danny Lee. Miller coming from one side of the ruck to the other, trying to move the defence out of position. Now they go back to the right-hand side. It's Healy. Overrun by Higgins, but he gets it to Quinn. Back inside now. Higgins gets the pass on to Topper. Topper very close. Only inches short. Manly on the ropes here early. The defence short on the right-hand side. Cronulla, no, Raper started to go that way and then double back.
Yeah, they certainly had the numbers out the right-hand side, the Cronulla side.
Fifth tackle. Miller wants it. Kicks flat across. Iro has it covered. Coming through was Bound, but Iro always had that one well covered and it was too deep.
Yeah, let off for the Manly side then, because Cronulla certainly had a lot of pressure on them. A couple of rucks up their sleeve. Gavin Miller decided to put a kick in behind the line, and Iro wisely let it go dead. That's a let off for the Manly side. They're in possession now, 35 out.
Lions ducking around a dummy half, gets it away, and out it goes from Tooby to O'Connor onto Iro. The pass looked a little forward. Back it comes to Tooby. Tooby out of one. Didn't have support on the inside. Ridge arrived a fraction too late. Now Manly get the penalty against Les Davidson, holding Tooby down, trying to slow the play down. Davidson knew Cronulla were at 6s and 7s.
Yeah, you can never be quite safe with the Manly side when they move it around, but in this instance, Tooby is held on the ground by Les Davidson, and now it's Manly's turn to apply a bit of pressure to the Cronulla defence.
David Hosking held by the front rows, Danny Lee and Andrew Hick.
He doesn't look the part, Hosking, but he sure pays his way.
Mestrov driven hard by Borton. He's making effective tackles. Now Dunford. Cliff Lyons still in at dummy half, even though they are in the attacking zone. He's got runners. Out it comes, Hasler, Tooby. Tooby standing wide with Darryl Williams. Cutting through, O'Connor on the fly outside him. Good defence. Now it's Jones. Only a few metres out. Fifth tackle. Everyone grouped in close for Manly. Lyons tries to put the little kick through. It came off Cronulla. And that is a handover, is it? Yes. It is a handover. It looks as if it could have been simply play on. Paul Bell out of dummy half. John, I wonder whether or not Graham Lowe has put Cliff Lyons into dummy half today to try and give him some personal direction so he knows exactly where he is and exactly what he's going to start doing today. Well,
it's a special position, and really you've got blinkers on in that area. You rely on the calls around you. I still prefer him out wide. He can torment the defence because he's got good awareness and good vision. I don't know why he's doing that play. I think it only shortens up the back line, and that's where they're most dangerous, Manly. Good run by the Cronulla side by little Topper.
Here's Gavin Miller winding back inside, gets it to Bound, trying the dummy. Topper hurdling over the top of him. He's a jack in the box, Stuart Topper. Scored 2 tries in the first 8 minutes last week. And Gavin Miller stabs for touch. Ridge allows it. Well, let's have a quick word with the Cronulla coach. Arthur, are you surprised at Cliff Lyons being in a dummy half?
Well, we thought he might go into that area a little bit just to kick, but we are surprised that he is in there directing traffic.
Happy with your boys so far, playing out the 6s?
Yeah, they're playing out the 6s. I was a little bit disappointed. I thought we could have scored a try had Stewie Topper given it to Aaron Raper.
Yeah, Artie, I can just endorse what Warren said. As a coach, you must be fairly pleased with control at this stage, but when you get down in good field position, it's vital to get those points.
Well, thanks for joining us for the moment, Arthur.
Mate, I can't hear you too well here, mate. I'm sorry about that, but...
Sure, we'll let you get back on with the job.
Right over.
So, Manly in possession just short of halfway. In goes Mestrov.
Terribly frustrating, Warren, when you get so close to scoring, because there's a great break down the left side by Tooby. Good pass to O'Connor. And Manly looking good.
There's the kick from Lyons. He had all day. It was touched in flight. Here's Quinn trying to get away from Hancock. Topper. Beautiful pass out to Bound. Very quick hands. Gave his winger a chance. Bound running into trouble, though.
Yeah, Tony Iro did the right thing staying out there because he relied on Hasler to come across just to clean that half break up.
That was enterprise from Cronulla to run it from that position on the field. Very skillful football, and it worked for them.
sometimes it doesn't go down too well with a lot of coaches running the ball out in such fashion, Warren. But obviously Cronulla wanted to throw things to the wind, throw caution to the wind, and that's what they're doing, and they're actually coming up trumps. Their ball control is excellent.
It's great when it works, so that shows that they have got some confidence. They're Manly in possession now with White trying to play the ball. Hasler runs into the arms of Raper, and Davidson was underneath him. 10 metres inside Cronulla's half. Mestrov, I should say. 30 metres out. Manly keeping it in tight with Hosking, trying to bullet their way through the centre of the Cronulla defence. It's the 5th tackle. Lions with the dummy to Ridge. He puts a little kick through. Quick Lions keeps it on the toe. Quinn plucks it out of the air. Beautiful football by Lyons and the fullback Quinn.
Yeah, he might have been better. He got a nice bounce there. If you see, he drops it on his toe, Cliffy Lyons, between defenders. Now, try to put his toe to it. May have been better off to try and pick it up. There was a little bit of support there.
Good reflexes from the fullback. It was a fairly quick bounce coming at him. Raper gets it to Lee. And Danny Lee shows some strength. Back to Raper, backing up beautifully. Now it's Topper. This is good football. He's trying to turn Tuvey inside out. A pass went back. Bound keeps it on the toe, and it's still there for Lindsay Bound. The crowd howling, but that pass went back. Now it's Raper. Raper's got support. He puts a kick through for Higgins. Higgins could win the race. The ball comes to the dead ball line. It's a try. That is a try. O'Connor is pointing back upfield, but that pass clearly went backward from the hand. There was a line there to mark the line of the pass, and then Cronulla kept the ball alive with good backing up. Maybe the defence stopped for a moment. Great football. Darren Higgins chasing it through. First points on the board. Cronulla 4, Manly 0. The early football here. Now that pass comes out to Topper. The next pass is the crucial one. Topper steps back inside Tuvey. The pass goes back. You can see the line. At that point, Ridge went for the man rather than the ball. Bound kept it on the toe beautifully. He stood there to deliver to Raper. Raper's backing up has already been superb. Maybe the crowd were complaining that Higgins was in front of the kicker.
Yes, well, there's a bit of a scrimmage there where 2 Manly players, now make it 3, are out of action. Bound gives a pass to Raper, who's in the movement twice. I thought he could have given the ball to Daryl Higgins, decided to kick, but Higgins' speed has got him there. Michael O'Connor not too happy about that.
Darren Higgins playing in the centres with Cronulla. He's a versatile player, can play on the wing or at fullback. First try of the season. And it'd be interesting to have another look at that try from side on, because not only was the first pass, well, I think it was definitely okay, but there was another pass from Raper, and also the final kick was Higgins behind the kicker. It was very, very close in both cases. The Manly crowd didn't like it, but what would you expect? We're at Brookvale. Mitch Healy attempting the conversion, and it's a good-looking kick, straight between the posts. Cronulla draw first blood. It's 6-0 over Manly.
Well, we have a player here in Danny Lee that Cronulla really need to follow a lot more. He's very strong, very tough up front. It pops a good pass, as we see here. Now, the pass, as we see from Topper, he darts around, he stands Tuvey up, he just pushes him off. This is, as you call it, Warren, a good pass. There, that went behind. And an old cliche, players should play to the whistle. Manly should have played the whistle and then taken it on from there and not expected the referee to blow up for them.
And Manly disappointed after they had been attacking just moments earlier, and a little frustrated because they've started the game enthusiastically, but Cronulla have the ball.
And as Huey mentioned, Warren, Danny Lee given a fair bit of latitude with the ball, and he's dangerous. I think Manly, there's another good offload by Davidson. So if they can't stop Davidson and Lee offloading, they could be in for a busy afternoon, Manly.
Healy attacking, running it wide inside his own quarters. It comes out to Higgins, the try scorer. Cronulla showing they are prepared to take on the Manly backline at their own game and throw it. Here's a mistake, bad mistake at dummy half. Chris Quinn knocking on. Well, that will send Arthur's hair grey.
Grey hair.
Making a mistake in your own quarter. I bet you it's not too good. No wonder Arthur's got to use the Grecian regularly.
Hasler from dummy half. That seems to be the tactic. Jeff Tuvey standing out at 5'8". Cliff Lyons in at the scrum base, and Hasler actually running it when Manly win the ball. From lock forward is Tuvey.
You're trying to work a short side play, 2 rucks in and down the blind side from the scrum wing.
John Jones lost it. The referee said it was touched by Cronulla, but obviously not stolen. As Dunford has a go. Good ball. White gets it out to O'Connor. Michael O'Connor, dazzling feet. Trying to weave some magic.
And a good tackle by Aaron Raper, the son of Johnny Raper. He'd be proud of that, old dad.
Mestrov is only 8 metres out. Lyons to Hasler. Tuvey. Darryl Williams on the burst. Well taken by Miller.
It's one thing about Darryl Williams, he does hit the holes well.
Lyons, one off the ruck. Inside is Tuvey. Tuvey close. The defence hangs on. 5th tackle. Lyons again. Out the back it comes. It's the last tackle. Dunford. Hosking. Trying to keep his arms free. Gets a pass away to Hancock. The referee's going to allow it. Well, that pass too must have been very flat. But Hosking fighting to get his arms free. And the Cronulla defence finally ran out of numbers. 6-4 in favour of the Sharks with that try. As it goes to Lyons, it was the last tackle. They kept it alive here. Dunford getting it away to Hosking. This was the crucial pass. Hancock on the burst. Bad angle to judge whether it was okay, the pass.
Yeah, nice work by Cliffy Lyons. He knew he met a dead end there. Some good passes here. Hosking thought, I can't do it out there. The defence is up, and Craig Hancock hit the gap very well. They're going for a good try. But that was Hail Mary stuff.
Craig Hancock, 31 years of age, joined Manly in 1988, has plenty of speed, and he did well to come in from the wing to back up his forwards. Ridge to level the scores. No trouble at all for him. And it's 6 points all at Brookvale.
Great response by the Sea Eagles to come back after what they call a disputed try. Again, great support play by Manly. In this case, Cronulla should play to the whistle, and don't expect the kick from Manly. Great pass by Dave Hoskins, another player very, very underrated, and another player Manly should be following a lot more.
Healy gets play underway once more. Cronulla paying the penalty for that knock-on at dummy half by Chris Quinn.
Yeah, if you make mistakes in your quarter in this game, Warren, you just bleed.
Lyons is having an impact from dummy half. There's no doubt about it. He's an unpredictable player. Hard for the opposition to decide which way he's going to go. And there he is again. And he has got the good hands to get the pass away.
He hasn't used his speed all that much, but he has got the hands. And the deception, too, is one of his attributes.
Lyons kicking from dummy half this time. Back goes Bound, and it finds touch. Lyons, no doubt, growing in confidence with every minute, throwing off the worries of the last couple of weeks, the indecision starting to leave his play. But it must worry the marker defence of Cronulla too, because they have to have 2 people there, and you'd wonder the forwards on either side of the ruck are probably getting in fairly tight as well.
Yes, well, they certainly, he commits people. That's one of his greatest advantages, Cliffy Lyons. He can commit people to where the action is, and he can pop a ball. So he's handy in that position at this stage. No doubt if they win this game, it'll go down as a masterstroke, but there's a long way to go.
Lee.
Yeah, missed tackles. Manly 13, Cronulla 4. And the total 14-7. So Manly certainly making more errors.
Cronulla trying to get back on top with Dave Borton. 5 metres short of halfway. 5th tackle. Healy under pressure from Tuvey. Deep kick, but Ridge is waiting underneath it. Very little wind here today. It's a very still, gloomy autumn day. Now Hancock, driven back. Good defence by Raper, and also Lee, but Lee has been caught in behind Cliff Lyons. Really unlucky, I think, but I suppose the referee didn't have much option.
No, they never do. Warren in this instance. There's Danny Lee. He tried to roll away. It's unfortunate. But 6 more tackles to the Manly side now.
Well, Cliffy did well in that case there to milk it out a bit more from the referee, and that's good luck to him, and that's probably another reason why Lowy's got him in close to the ball. He's very good at those types of tactics.
Jones thrusts his chest through the line, showing some power and determination. Lyons, did he knock on? He did. Cliff Lyons knocking on a dummy half. Says no, sir. It went sideways.
Yeah, Johnny Jones can stick his chest out too, because he's been one of the better Manly players over the last 5 or 6 weeks.
Here's Lyons, a dummy half, and the little kick of the foot.
Cronulla in possession from that scrum win.
I think Lyons may have been put off by the man playing the ball. Now it's Higgins cutting inside and outside. Bound had just gone back inside. He couldn't find him.
Great tackle by Matthew Ridge.
It's good to see Matthew coming through so far after the rib cartilage injury that he sustained. Actually, just talking to him quickly before the game, he was a little concerned that it mightn't carry through the full 80 minutes. And he said that if he did give him trouble, he'd certainly be off just in case it doesn't do any more damage.
Another great tackle by John Jones. Stopped Andrew Hick. Now the ball lost by Cronulla. The defence starting to take its toll there. Danny Lee unable to hang on.
Yeah, there's Danny Lee looking to pass the ball inside the topper, and the ball was knocked out of his hands. But John Jones has been an inspiration to Manly. Usually they look for their attacking players for that sort of inspiration. You can often look to your defensive players too, and John Jones is coming up with some big hits.
That ball slapped out of the hands of Danny Lee almost by Des Hasler. Probably didn't quite qualify as stealing the ball in the tackle, but it must have been close. It's a fine line, I suppose, in interpretation of that rule. Tooby and O'Connor working well. And Tooby's through. Tooby down to the fullback. He's got support inside. There's O'Connor. O'Connor will race away for the try. They won't catch him. The two wingers converging, but no chance of catching Michael O'Connor. The break from their own side of halfway with Jeff Tooby starting it all. Manly hit the front 10 points to 6. Out it comes Hasler, getting it wide to Tooby. Tooby, the run around with O'Connor. He finds the gap with the dummy there to Ridge, catching Paul Bell in 2 minds. Once he was through, Tooby finds O'Connor backing up, and they weren't going to catch Michael O'Connor from this point. Topper gave up the chase. He had no chance. Bound couldn't get there either.
Yeah, Manly always dangerous down the edges. Here's Tooby with the ball. Simple run around with Michael O'Connor. Little Topper would be very disappointed. He confronted O'Connor. He could have put him on the ground. Now there he is in the background chasing O'Connor. Didn't put a Michael O'Connor on the ground, and he's still alive, and he goes over to score a great try for Manly.
The dual international, what a great player he's been. 13 rugby union tests between 79 and 82 as the conversion added by Ridge. The score 12-6 in favour of Manly.
Again, a sensational reply by Manly. Again, great support play, good lead-up work here through Tooby, and another player very unlucky not to have made the State of Origin side, obviously because of Manly's predicament lower down the table, but he set up Michael O'Connor extremely well. Another 4 points, and that's the place to score him, right under the black dot.
Tooby in the in-goal area, takes it on the full.
Yeah, Tooby getting back to somewhere near his best form. He's been out with an injury, but coming back into his own today. And sure, Manly need him.
Some people feel that Jeff Tooby's unlucky not to be the replacement halfback for Ricky Stewart in the New South Wales team. But the kicking game of John Simon probably the telling factor.
Yeah, I think that would have been the clincher, Warren.
Iro to play it back to Lyons, and he steals away. Bound was offside. Now he's onside. He can chase. Lyons has got support inside. Iro takes on the fullback. A great tackle from Chris Quinn. Lyons really is proving a thorn in Cronulla's side. It's the 5th tackle. He gets it to Mestrov. He goes ahead. Does he know it's the last? He's taken the tackle.
Yeah, Mestrov obviously not in sync there with the tackle count, because Manly did have support out wide. Last tackle.
Here's the Lions break from dummy half.
Up the sideline from dummy half. The speed of Bound probably stopped Cliffy from drawing the fullback Quinn, and he took Iro in a good tackle.
Cronulla being rattled a few times here by Manly. Their defence has cracked a number of times, the Sharks.
And especially Warren around the ruck area where Cliff Lyons is playing a major role in that area. No, Arthur Bee's been very, very critical of his players, especially around the ruck area, if they don't do their job. And certainly by half-time, there'll be a lot to be said by Arthur to his players.
And the ball has been lost. This Manly pressure is starting to affect the concentration of Cronulla.
Yes, well, Borton may have had a bit of a hand there.
Might be more than the pressure affecting their concentration on that occasion. We see Darren Higgins has left the field and he's been replaced by Kurt Wrigley. Cliff Lyons signalling behind his back that he wants to come blindside. Chris White, taken by Hick.
His value, Cliffy Lyons, is that he's committing one of the markers. He's not passing, he's moving out a couple of paces and committing a marker.
Hosking working it with Hasler and Tuvey. Danger here as O'Connor's off again. Wrigley moves in on him. Back it comes to Tuvey. Wrigley there again. Ridge. Hosking gets back onside. It rolls over the top of Aaron Raper, who takes him ball and all.
Yeah, they're starting to play like Manly. He's flicked the ball everywhere.
Ridge. Back it goes to Dunford. A tackle missed by Cronulla. Raper couldn't get to him. Manly, always a dangerous team once they start throwing it around. And here goes Mestrov, steaming ahead.
He only knows one way, Warren.
Desperate tackle by Borton. Fifth tackle. Ridge. Field goal from right in front. He doesn't miss them from there, whether they're field goals or place kicks. But still 9 minutes before half-time, Ridge just trying to rub in the ascendancy of Manly. 13 points to 6. Still, I don't know whether it was the right way to go myself.
Yeah, well, a good run by Mestrov. He took the ball up 12, 15 metres, enabled Matthew Ridge to have quite an easy shot for a field goal.
Do you think a field goal is the right tactic at this stage? I mean, they could have done something with the fifth tackle there, looking for a try or to get 6 more
well,
tackles.
12-6, I mean, to go 13-6, Cronulla have to score twice now. Might be a little psychological advantage and a disadvantage for Cronulla. Maybe that's in their thinking.
I'm sure it was. Tuvey, Williams. The defence is down, but must be worrying the Cronulla camp the way Manly is starting to make ground and offload the ball.
Yeah, well, that Cliffy Lyons is committing that first marker, so he can't shoot out to the first receiver. It's a good tactic.
Does this mean Cliff Lyons will become a hooker? Wouldn't be the first player.
No, well, the hooking role's changed, of course. If you've got smart play in at dummy half, there's a big advantage.
Here's Jones coming from the blind side to the open and making lots of ground. Cronulla slow to move up. Now they make the error in the play the ball.
Yeah, Les Davidson, the man there, impeding. And that's a very costly one because Manly have just chewed up 5 tackles. Now they've got another 6.
Hosking from the tap. Gavin Miller is off the field.
Robbie Kearns, I think, in 41.
Mestrov gets it back to Hasler. Lyons. Tuvey. Tuvey's away again. Knocked over. Back he gets to his feet. Hasler. Cronulla have got to put them down, and they've got to slow this play the ball down. Now the pass goes loose.
Just trying to overdo it a little bit, Cliffy, from dummy half.
And Bound gets it away to Wrigley. Cronulla have simply got to play out 6 tackles here. They just cannot afford to throw it away. Craig Diamond's on the field. Playing it now.
And have we seen a turnaround in the defensive... what a hit.
Williams it was on Les Davidson. That was a hip charge.
The defence of Manly has just absolutely just come right out of it. And as far as Cronulla are concerned, they've actually fallen backwards. And we see the... Oh, what a hit. Darryl Williams.
Shoulder hit the lot. He threw the kitchen sink at him then.
Yeah, Cronulla at a big disadvantage too. They've used 3 fresh replacements already. 2 forwards and Kurt Wrigley's also out there. So that's going to count a bit later in the game.
Raper kicks deep. Ridge just gets the ball in the end. The bounce went away from him, but Bound with a good tackle. Diamond also down there chasing. Manly 30 metres out from their own line with Hosking. Peter Mortimer, the Cronulla Chief Executive, looking on, guiding the ship into new waters this year. There's quite a clean out at Cronulla with the loss of Jonathan Docking, Barry Russell and Alan Wilson. And you can see the lineup they've got on the field today, a lot of new faces for Cronulla. A lot of young faces and local juniors too. As Ridge kicks downfield, bouncing away from Coleman. Will it find touch? He's forced to pick it up. And Tuvey uses some shoulder in the tackle.
Got terrific leverage, Tuvey.
He's a mighty mite. Wrigley. Manly's defence still enthusiastic. Jeff Tuvey had quite a few shoulder problems and an operation in the off-season, but I don't think he's wearing shoulder pads by the look of it. And here's more good defence. This time it's Tony Iro.
And Darryl Williams also coming up with some big hits. Last week we might have been a little critical of him with his defensive play, but he's got it back in order now.
One thing we notice about Darryl Williams, he's very, very strong front on. If you start taking him or stepping him in defence, then that's where he's a bit weary. His knees just aren't able to adjust when people step him.
Healy kicks from dummy half. It's out on the full. Well, the perfect start to this game by Cronulla has fallen away into error and penalties.
And again, there has been a turnaround in both penalties and the missed tackle rate of Cronulla and Manly. The difference is just so close now, it's negligible.
Hosking takes play into Cronulla's half. Lyon from dummy half. He gets away from Bell. Hancock escapes. Just taken from behind by Raper. Lyons had managed to draw in Coleman. Hasler, Tuvey. Topper comes in like an exocet. Not Tuvey flying, he's hurt him. I think it was legal. Topper had really committed himself from a long way away to nailing Tuvey.
Yeah, it's bad news for Manly because he has been out of action with a shoulder injury, and he appears to be favouring his shoulder now.
Here's Tuvey as Topper comes flying in and crashes Tuvey to ground. Tuvey is still down in the back players. The kick finds touch. Tuvey back on his feet now. May have just had the wind knocked out of him. He seems okay. So we've actually got Hasler at halfback and Cliff Lyons at lock forward for that scrum.
Yeah, great tackle by Matthew Ridge.
Here's Davidson. Now Cronulla try and take it forward with Kearns. Robert Kearns, 30 metres out from their own line. Topper. Healy. Flicks it back to Topper. He's threading his way through on numerous occasions, Topper.
A good cover by Matt Dunford.
Healy with a good deep kick. Sends Ridge back. Ridge was shallow. Not far from his own goal line. There's a good chase from Cronulla. Bound there with Danny Lee, the big front rower. Showing plenty of energy to get down there. Iro on the blind side. Manly 13, Cronulla 6. 2 minutes till half-time. Manly without Ian Roberts with a hamstring injury. Iro with the ankle problem. Owen Cunningham with a knee cruciate problem. He hurt that when they played in Auckland recently. Hasler, Jones, fifth tackle. Ridge will kick. Under pressure from Raper, who put the shoulder into him. Again, it was legal. Quinn takes it on his own 22. And Williams gets hold of him. Talking of injuries, Mark McGaw out of the Cronulla side with the thumb problem sustained in the City Country match. David Truella, ankle problem, he's out of action. Michael Speechley has a knee problem. And Dan Staines, we haven't heard much of Dan Staines this year after he suffered some sort of bruising of the brain, and he has not been able to get back onto the field.
It's been hard for Arthur. There's a lot of new faces in the Cronulla side, and a lot of young players too. They take a little time to get into sync.
Topper works it wide to Wrigley, but there's Darryl Williams. He's a man with a mission today, Williams. He would have been embarrassed. Last week he missed a couple of tackles. Some of those tries scored from scrums by Illawarra must have hurt Manly, and they hurt the pride of Darryl Williams. He's making up for it today.
He sure is. He probably had a pretty long week, Darryl. You got to make amends. It can be very long a week, and the winning weeks seem to go so quickly.
The half-time siren sounds. Cronulla had the better of the early play. Manly starting to hit their straps as the half went on. They played some fine football. 2 tries to 1 and a field goal. It's 13 points to 6. Played the match of the round at Brookvale Oval. City Country selections were imminent. Plenty of players were lining up for representative honours. Steve Rebillard picks up the story.
The Manly pack was bristling with internationals. Les Boyd was at the height of his powers, and in halfback Rick Chisholm, the Seagulls had one of the sweetest steppers in the game. Balmain half Steve Martin was playing against his old club for the first time, and there must have been mixed feelings too for Frank Stanton, who had played and coached at Manly. Balmain withstood some early pressure from Manly and then opened up the Seagulls with some strong running, first from Wayne Pearce and then Gary Bridge.
It's the 5'8" now. Gary Bridge has got Eden to beat, and Eden's giving chase. He might not get him. Yes, he will, by the short. Stevie Martin was chiming in there with the 5'8", Balmain on the attack. Long one to Regan. Let it go, he says. Here's a huge overlap as Philippina lets it out. Right out to the wing, and Steve Martin is in for the first points of the match.
Mike Eden was one of the early round-the-corner kickers in Sydney League. This penalty saw Manly trailing 3-2. The Tigers were running into a strong wind in the first half, but were making most of the early running. Referee Jack Danzy did well with this ruling.
He's not. He's over. Yes, that's a try. There was no try, a penalty for a double movement. Now he's brought down just short of the line here, still moving all the time, but the ball had reached the ground, you would have seen then. I agree with referee Jack Danzy.
2 minutes later, Wayne Miranda slipped one of the best passes never to result in a try. The flick is almost quicker than the eye.
Wiggum plates it to the wing, and a beautiful pass to Wiggum, crashing his way towards the corner into touch.
The flick pass was contagious, with hooker and skipper Whittaker laying one on for Philippina.
They've got it back too. This must be a chance. Whittaker, flick pass to Philippina, right next to the post.
The 8-2 lead was enjoyed for only a few minutes when Rick Chisholm put up this deadly bomb and Bruce Walker came down with it.
Superb take, close, and it's a try, is it? Yes, he's awarded a try.
A decade ago, tries from scrums were not so common, but Chisholm engineered one for John Rebo.
Rick Chisholm showing a good turn. Chisholm inside Rebo. Rebo's there.
Head on, the Chisholm sidestep looks even more devastating with Wayne Pearce beaten to the point of embarrassment.
Manly come from an 8-2 deficit to hit the front, with John Rebo scoring for the second try.
Most would forgive Steve Martin for having a little look with Les Boyd bearing down on him, but the fumble was costly.
In the end goal, a try. Referee Danzy says a fair try. Les Boyd apparently getting there before the dead ball line.
Manly led 17-10 early in the second half and continually looked dangerous, with Chisholm waltzing through the Tigers' defence.
Rick Chisholm looks to support. Where's Walker?
And Manly weren't waiting for invitations when Balmain started to soften their resolve close to the ruck.
Support in Walker. This is a try coming up. Looks inside, gives it to Simon Booth, who's going to touchdown under the post. Here's the pass going there to Bruce Walker. Now you watch as he draws the fullback. He's got a man on either side. Sent it infield. Simon Booth races away to score under the post.
A second try for John Rebo saw the points safely in Manly's keeping with 10 minutes to go.
Trying to set up Booth. He's made a good break. He's got Booth outside. There goes the pass. Booth racing for the corner. Looks for Rebo. Rebo's able to score.
The Tigers roared once more, though, scoring perhaps the best try of the game.
Little kick through. Gets a good bounce. Picks up support and a lovely flick pass. Looking out there with support inside to Philippina. Caught by Eden. Gives it to Terry Regan. And he's not held. He's over. That's a good try to Terry Regan. That's a lovely try. And Philippina drawing Eden. Terry Regan, you'll notice now, although he hits the ground, he's not held. And he's quite entitled to reach over.
Manly had scored 5 tries to 3 and despite a tardy start, deserved their 28-17 win. Balmain's terrible record at Brookvale had stretched to 1 win in 14 years.
Well, John, it's only 10 years ago, but players like Max Krilich, Les Boyd, that seems like yesterday.
Yeah, sure, but they still played great football, didn't they? Good
Didn't they?
ball movement and some wonderful names there.
Always been a great attacking side, Manly.
Yeah, great stuff, and I suppose their fans will be hoping that they can get back into sync after today.
Sure, they're looking like...
To make errors, Warren. They had a pretty tidy start to the game, but Manly, with increased possession, have put a lot of pressure on the Cronulla defence, and the turnaround was midway through the first half when the scale of possession turned Manly's way.
Healy with the boot downfield, and Iro brings it back. What an awesome sight he is, Tony Iro, but Gavin Miller stands his ground, and Les Davidson comes in to help out. Iro virtually saying, here I come, set yourself and take me on. Lions in a dummy half. So that tactic will continue, and why not? It was very successful in that first half. And Lions starting in and around there. Well, Hugh McGann, what did the coaches have to say?
Well, Warren, both camps were actually concerned about the same area, and it was around the play the ball area, and as far as Manly were concerned, they just wanted to continue. They wanted Cliff Lyons to stay in around that area, probe and look for the gaps and make the breaks that he's made so far. Arthur Beeson actually is, in contrary, concerned that there's just far too many mistakes, missed tackles around the same area. The mark of defence was woeful as far as he was concerned, but certainly that'll be brushed up before too long. And as we see now, Cronulla actually come out with a new set of jerseys. They've taken the opportunity to bring a new set out from their club rooms over at Cronulla in support of their new sleeve sponsor, Akai. And good to see that the other teams or other companies getting behind the Cronulla Sharks.
Sure, and very timely with their first win last week. And now they go up the centre with Craig Diamond. The early mistake made by Lions, giving Cronulla possession. On the fifth tackle now, it's Healy, putting the bomb up high. Ridge waits for it. One Cronulla player knocked over as he tried to come through, but what a magnificent take from Ridge. Beautiful take of that bomb. Kept his eye on the ball.
Yeah, Matthew Ridge. Look, there's an example for any kid. Never took his eye off the ball and gives Manly a 22-metre tap.
One Cronulla player coming through, trying to put more pressure on Ridge, fell over, but I think it was inadvertent. I think he just virtually ran into the back of a Manly player.
And Gavin Miller back on the field too, so that might hearten the Cronulla camp. Yes, tackles Manly Tony Mestroff in his first grade game, 22, and John Jones, 21. David Borton, a huge 28, the Cronulla side.
Cronulla take play into Manly's half, or I should say the other way around, Manly in possession.
Good run by Chris White then.
And now it's Tuvey. Tuvey cuts through, only the fullback in front of him. Now Tuvey's racing for the line, he's going to go all the way. Tuvey all the way. It looked as if the cover must have surrounded him. He changed direction, swerved around the fullback Chris Quinn, and they simply couldn't catch the little man. He's had a good game, Jeff Tuvey. It all started with his defence. His attack grew in confidence as the half went on, and here he is running off a nice ball from Lyons, which put him in the gap. At this point, Quinn couldn't quite get to him. Kurt Wrigley unable to catch Tuvey either. The pace of the halfback over that first 30 or 40 metres telling here.
There's the pass. He committed top of Cliffy Lyons. Little legs pumping. Chris Quinn, well, he looked like he had his shoes were stuffed with old sea anchors. Then he just couldn't make any impact on Jeff Tuvey, and that's one of the reasons Manly are firing today, because Jeff Tuvey is back to his best.
What a courageous player he is. Played the most games for Manly last season, 22 in all. It's his first try for the year. Ridge right in front. He hasn't had much to worry about with the boot so far today. No real challenges. He throws it over. And Manly now in a very solid position in this match. 19 points to 6 they lead.
How every team would love to start the second half like this. The 2 minutes in the second half and a try. Well set up again by Cliff Lyons. And this time you saw him one out from the ruck area. And maybe that's a little bit of deviation on previous play so far. Jeff Tuvey, once again, as you said, back on form, and that's good to see for Manly.
Healy's kick out towards the touchline. Williams trips over Matthew Ridge, who can't believe the mix-up.
So Manly really on top in this game now, starting the second half just the way any team would like to. And here's Hosking trying to keep that authority going. Jones. Dunford bumps off Borton, but he sticks to him. Last tackle, the pass to no one. O'Connor has to go back to Ridge. Ridge gets a pretty good kick away, considering the mix-up. Lindsay Bound wrapped up. Miller with a couple of short balls. Topper bursting away. Miller again. Lee.
Yeah, Cronulla might just have to go for broke now, and with Gavin Miller, I think he's getting a licence just to move balls around. It could cause Manly some problems, but not if they're going to make errors like that.
That pass from Gavin Miller was fairly low to Les Davidson.
Here he comes across the back of the ruck, which is one of his specialties, and it was a poor pass, and Davo spilt the ball. This gives Manly the feed and possession, of course.
One thing we see from here is a newfound enthusiasm by Manly. It's something that hasn't been evident in their play the last few weeks, and as was shown in that pressure put on by Matt Dunford, caused Gavin Miller to throw an awful pass out wide and consequently come up with a mistake.
White chopped down by Diamond. In the second half, the last couple of weeks, Manly have fallen apart. Not today, as O'Connor gets it back inside, but that's a bad pass. It came off Davidson. Manly gets 6 more.
I think it's Manly's day after that. How blessed was he?
It was a bad pass from O'Connor. Hosking can't get hold of it. It comes backwards to Hancock, so they're blessed twice. Jones. Hasler. Lyons runs onto it. Inside to Tuvey. Stepping well. Lyons in a dummy half. Dunford. They're 26 metres out on the 5th tackle. It goes to Ridge on the blind side. He was taken just a little late by Raper, and the kick goes out on the full.
Yeah, there's Matthew Ridge, but good pressure from Aaron Raper coming out of the marker position, and that's produced the ball for Cronulla. The kick went out on the full.
Fair tackle by Raper. It wasn't excessively late. He was committed to the tackle. Aaron Raper, the latest of John's, what do you call them?
Plan.
Brood. Chook's chick, Aaron Raper, and he looks to be a handy player. Here's Quinn out wide. He cuts through. Looks for his winger. Couldn't get it to Bound, but he can get it to Healy. Healy downfield. Williams chases. Oh, good work by Williams. He just got a hand to his heel. Knocked him off balance. Iro got there, but here come Cronulla again. Bad pass. Miller frustrated. Davidson has to pick it up. Back inside the Topper. Wrigley, 10 metres out. It's the 5th tackle. It goes on the blind side with Bell, and Manly come up with it. O'Connor falling on it. Well, Arthur Beetson given something more to cheer about there as Cronulla suddenly come roaring back, but they made a mess of it on the previous tackle when the pass didn't go to Miller.
Yeah, a little bit of cause for concern too by Arthur for Topper. He's been one of their better players, and he's got an injury at the moment. There's a penalty to Manly.
The referee says they were never back 5 metres. Hancock from dummy half.
Yeah, it was a pretty fair effort by the Cronulla players, but Ryan West has ruled them inside the 5 by the look of it.
Seemed to be a signal, but it was a fairly late decision if that was the call. Maybe he thought that the tackle was completed, then they dragged him back into the in-goal area.
He's had a pretty fair game, Warren Mescott.
He has.
He's graduated with an arts degree yesterday, I believe.
And the defence still rock solid out there. Tony Mestrov graded in 1990, but he missed most of last year with a mystery illness, 22 years of age. There's David Hosking, back to Lyons. Lyons shopping around. Who's he going to go with? Goes himself, in fact, and gets it to Chris White. White out of one tackle, 9 metres out. It's the last tackle now. Lyons a dummy half. Flicks it back to Dunford. Ridge throws it back. It's the last tackle. Tooby, they've got numbers out here. Mestrov, Hasler, O'Connor. 20 metres out, O'Connor. With Williams. Darryl Williams over in the corner. It looked as if Manly had blown it when Lyons was caught on one side of the field, but then they shoveled it backward, knowing it was the last tackle. Ridge threw it out the back. Here's Lyons, caught initially. So too was Ridge, but knowing it was the last, he took the odds to it, threw it out towards Tooby. Mestrov moved it quickly to the overlap. Hasler, O'Connor drew the last lot of defence in, and into the corner goes Williams.
Yes, well, 6 tackle. Cliffy deliberating what to do here. A lot of scrappy play by Manly. I think they should all go out and buy lottery tickets because they sure didn't deserve a try off this. There's 2 passing it out. Wrist pass out to Des Hasler and Michael O'Connor using his speed, and then a questionable pass to Darryl Williams, who scores the try.
Here it is with the initial play. Cronulla would have thought they were going to be able to contain Manly on the last tackle at this point. Really, it was the previous play the ball where Chris Lyons made the break that got them down there. Chris White backing him up on that play. Williams ends up with a try on the next tackle. Darryl Williams, nicknamed Tinker. Is that Tinkerbell, Hugh?
Tinkerbell, and given to him by the Manly players. We actually at New Zealand used to call him DW, obviously for short for DW.
Graham Lowe has suffered a lot of agony in the last 4 losses. He won't smile until the end of this game, if they are to win, that is. Ridge.
You might have the winning formula, Warren. Don't turn up the training.
Ridge has kicked 3 from 3 in close. This is out wide. It's equally magnificent. No, just coming off the upright. Didn't quite make it. Manly 23, Cronulla 6.
Well, here Cronulla were all at sea after that initial break by Lyons, and it was consequently, you see, their defence was actually caught in very, very close. As we see the numbers, the ball coming out wide, it's just a matter of economics for Manly to use their numbers, play the numbers game, take it in, and give it on to Darryl Williams. Tinkerbell, because he runs on the tips of his toes, and wasn't very far for him to run for there to get his first 4-pointer.
Manly should be able to go on and win this game. Cronulla haven't won at Brookvale since 1982, but they've got another chance here as they get possession. Bell. Closest Cronulla have come in the decade was a draw last year, 22 all. They're down by 17 points. Still a long way to go in this game. They're by no means out of it. Diamond up the centre. A try here would certainly lift Cronulla. They're only 10 metres out. Manly's defence spreading on the left. Raper.
Holding the ball in his hands like his father.
Miller. Taken by Tooby. Couldn't find the runners. Timing wasn't there. Last tackle. Raper. Puts the kick through to the posts. Hasler covers it up. No real pressure on him, but at least they'll get 6 more tackles from the dropout.
Good 6-tackle play by Aaron Raper. He just dropped it on the toe, and Des Hasler had no other option than to drop on the ball, and Cronulla have another chance to try and get this elusive try against, well, a better defensive side, or best defensive effort we've seen from Manly for quite some time.
Lyons dropping out to Quinn. He gives it to Coleman. Well, the statisticians will have details, I'm sure.
Well, total tackles, Manly 170 and Cronulla 193, so creeping up. It's turned the full course, full cycle.
I'm going to say the stats people probably have details on whether a team can hold out for 12 tackles or for 18 tackles. Well, this is the 8th tackle for Cronulla. Lee on the 22. Manly's defence has been rock solid and very enthusiastic today. Miller back inside to Quinn. That ball may have been touched by a Manly hand. Cronulla come up with it. It is 6 more tackles. So they've got the opportunity to have something like 16 tackles at Manly here. Inside their quarter. Lee, only 8 metres out. Raper to Borton on the blind. Lyons there with Tuvey. Healy has a little go himself, almost through. Saw daylight. 5th tackle. Miller running it. Still running it on the last. Diamond. Wrigley. Men outside that came off Hancock. They've got 6 more tackles. Wrigley, oh, Bell it is. Bell is close. Throws it inside. Coleman. Off his feet. On his feet. Comes around and scores. Statistics never lie. Cronulla come up with it. They got the extra set of 6 from the touch by Manly and scored the try. Cronulla back into it as 23-10. Miller came across field. Gets it to Diamond here. He was surrounded, flung it over the top to Wrigley. The touch from Hancock only momentarily held Cronulla up. Bell thought he was going to score. The pass on the ground. Finally, Glenn Coleman picks up the spoils.
Yeah, rather scrappy stuff from the Sharks, but if Manly can get away with one, why can't the Sharks? There's a touch by Craig Hancock, and Bell goes to his right, tries to turn the ball in, it hits the Manly defender, and Craig Coleman's there just to pick it up and go over for a try. And I think the Sharks probably deserve that. Manly under a lot of pressure.
Coleman's 2nd try for the year, 26 years of age, graded back in 1986, but he had mixed year in 91, just the 8 games in 1st grade. Manly replacements warming up. David O'Donnell, one of them. Mitch Healy with an important kick for Cronulla. It's not going to come around. Stays out and misses. The score remains 23-10. The gap is 13 points.
A fair result here for Cronulla after the amount of effort they put in. If they were never going to score after this passage of play, then they would never have going to score. A few, as John said, a bit of scrappy play, a few passes went in the wrong direction. But Cronulla actually working very hard here. Bell didn't really have to make that. He probably didn't know there was 6 tackles to go, but Glenn Coleman, obviously the speedster that he is, able to get round and make it a 4-pointer for Cronulla, one that they desperately needed at this stage.
Cronulla need to get back down the other end. They're still down by 13 points. So more than 2 converted tries, and that Matthew Ridge field goal really is looking like a very valuable buffer at this stage. Coleman to Topper. Miller. Healy. Got a high tackle from Williams, but cuffed him over the ear rather than did much damage. Miller looms up again with Diamond.
That's what's got to happen for Cronulla, Warren. Kevin Miller has to come in a lot more often, like Cliff Lyons with Manly. Kevin Miller just has to take the options to Manly, and Cronulla actually have to support him a lot better. That was not a very good kick there by Gavin, but still, at least he's got his hands on the ball and to keep Manly guessing, and Cronulla, the rest of the players, have to give him some options.
Kick out on the full by Miller, but the touch judge is on, and there'll be a report here. Jeff Tuvey was knocked sideways at one point. Craig Diamond has been called up.
Dunford, by the look of it. And Matt Nagel, 24, will be his replacement.
There he is, Matt Nagel. Did you find the incident? It was... Jeff Tuvey was definitely... He was knocked away out of play, it appeared. And the penalty has gone to Manly. See Jeff Tuvey at marker here. He goes to chase, and he's knocked down by Diamond, it must have been.
It's a cruel penalty to give yourselves, especially when you're doing it at hard in defence. You're well behind in the points table. So close to the line, and with Manly on a roll like it is, it's something that Arthur Beetson certainly wouldn't have wanted for his players.
Hosking wasn't expecting it. He puts his head down and still going. The mule drags them with him.
Still as unpredictable as ever, Cliff Lyons.
Lyons puts a kick up, coming through his Iro, with Bound manages to mark it just as Iro, if he'd been able to put that out of the area, would have come down in the in-goal area for a try. Lance Davidson now carries it away. Cronulla 10 metres out from their own line. Danny Lee. And the Manly players, 4 of them come in trying to knock Lee over.
Yeah, in contrast to last week, Warren, I think we knocked up counting missed tackles. But today they've got their defence in order. Here's Mitch Healy with a clearing kick.
Away from Ridge. 3 chasers down there, confronting Ridge. Now it's 4. Coleman arrives, but the tackle made by Paul Bell. Useful kick. Manly coming back on side slowly. It's a long way. You've got to turn around and come back 50 metres. 2 tackles have been used up. White hit hard. Player to be called out. Miller. Chris White complaining about the tackle. The signal appears to be for Miller thumping White into the ground, coming over the top of him.
Dave Hosking actually finding it tough to get back into line as boot was hanging off his foot. He actually called for the trainer to come on, strap it on for him, and we'll see a lot more work out of Dave Hosking before this day's out.
Oh, penalty against Manly, or at least Manly have blown the tap. They had an offside player.
John Jones, I think it was, and Hosking wasn't far from it either.
It was a comedy of errors. Hosking was coming back onside, and Manly held up the tap, but then took it with Hosking or John Jones offside. So from the scrum which ensued, Cronulla have the ball.
Come on, Manly! Tackle!
On the halfway line. Bell hit by Lyons.
Come on, Sean!
Borton.
Yeah, Manly's stats today must be looking pretty good over previous weeks, and they're in front on the scoreboard as far as points. And of course, in the penalties, Manly have received 7 penalties to Cronulla's 1.
Particularly their second half performance, John. It's been the second half that Manly have been crumbling. Quinn. Still going, Chris Quinn. Good ball to Davidson. He can't take the pass. Looked as if Davidson was entitled to hang on to that one. Quinn.
Yeah, there's Quinn popping up a good ball. Looked to be all right. Should have been taken, and Davidson has made the error. And Manly some more possession.
Manly started the season by beating the Gold Coast and Canberra, and they looked to be in pretty good form early. Then they lost to Penrith, Newcastle, Brisbane and Illawarra. 4 losses in a row. They're on the way to turning around that tide now. Nagel tackles. It's 23-10 in favour of Manly. Jones. John Jones topped the tackle count by a mile last week. This week, Tony Mestrov in his debut is leading the way with 33.
Yeah, Graham Lowe's has gone for a bit of reinforcing in the defensive department. It's certainly paid off today.
Mind you, John Jones is second highest.
And not only that, he's been he's got a high work rate in attack, and the platform set by both him and Dave Hosking is something that Manly should be proud of, and is the reason why they're leading so far at this stage.
Even Jeff Tooby manages a wry smile at that one. It was a great kick. Under pressure from Topper. Deep, finding the touchline, taking the roll.
Yeah, he does no wrong today. And he's back in form. When he's in form, it's a great sight for the fans. Manly's following. There's the metres. 14.61 to 12.57 Cronulla. So more possession going Manly's way.
Cronulla in front of their own post, 20 metres out. They've been in their own territory for much of this half. Haven't really been able to break loose. A few times they've had the opportunity. They've given away a penalty or made an error, kicking out on the 4, for example, and there's another one. This time Mitch Healy can't hang on to it. It's just the one brief passage of play where Cronulla put the attack together when they scored the try.
Yeah, this Topper moving the ball out much early. Just a lack of concentration, but boy, it's costly on coaches. And
very frustrating. Danny Lee leaving the field.
Andrew Hick.
Referee waiting for Hick to arrive to pack into the front row. Scrum 7-5 to Manly, and that one has gone against the head. Cronulla with a chance now, and a real chance as Wrigley escapes, gets it inside to Healy. He changes direction to Coleman. Nagel with a good tackle. Nagel from the scrum. Matt Nagel. Miller. Bell. Gets outside O'Connor, close to the touchline. He's in trouble. Gets down on that ground as quickly as he can. Miller. Topper. Davidson. Great ball for Healy. Healy has men either way. Goes to his winger bound. He can't hang on to it, but that should be play on. He kept it on the toe. The referee is going to call it back. I thought that if he got that on the toe cleanly, it may have been ruled off. Play on.
Yeah, here's the, well, a bit of enterprise from Cronulla. Good pass by Les Davidson. Found Mitch Healy. He sort of ran away from Diamond, or ran past him. And there's the blunder by Bound.
Hasler has it. Still plenty of talk out there on the field. Manly leading 23-10. 15 minutes to go.
Straight up and down mess drop, but he's doing the job for the Sea Eagles today. I mean, control's been a big problem for them in previous weeks, but their stats are looking good today, thanks to players like White, Mestroff, and Dunford while he was on, and John James.
As Nabel breaks over the halfway line, he's got O'Connor inside. He's also got Munn outside. Oh, he's blown it. Took the tackle, held on that fraction too long. I think he intended to get the pass away.
Yeah, he did wait. He waited too long. He had the pace alongside him, ended up running past him. He just didn't have enough legs there to go on with it. He knew Michael O'Connor was there. He thought he might steal a few more yards before committing Quinn, the fullback. Michael O'Connor not too happy, because that certainly looked a try.
Gavin Miller leaving the field. Miller running right out of energy, I would think, after his stint in hospital during the week. Has played well. Topper.
Yeah, well, Harris, Manly have 22 missed tackles. The Cronulla's 20. Just starting to edge ahead a little bit in possession, Manly, and the scoreboard tells that story.
Hick to Raper. Spins out of the tackle well. Bell now. Good skills from Raper. They're inside the Manly 22.
Another great tackle by Tooby.
A couple of Manly players still coming back slowly. They're offside. It goes out to Topper. Diamond is wide. Diamond steams through. The pass touched by Iro. Now it's come off Coleman. He's left it behind Iro. Referee had played the advantage, so it's play on. Cronulla with 6 more tackles. Only 10 metres out. Healy from dummy half. Manly trying to set the defence. Raper dummy half. Gives it to Davidson. He charges through. Les Davidson charges straight through the defence. And he keeps Cronulla in this game. Manly 23, Cronulla 14. Still 12 minutes remaining. Davidson set himself. Raper knew he was coming. Turned it inside. Nothing Chris White could do to stop him.
Yeah, well, Manly have had some luck on their side, and there was a touch by a Manly player prior to this that gave Cronulla possession again. A good inside ball from Aaron Raper to Les Davidson. He's too hard to stop when he gets that close to the line with that much motion up.
28 years of age. Nicknamed Bundy. Had a stint over at Warrington and with Wigan, who will be in that English Challenge Cup final tonight. Live on ABC television from 11:30. Graham Lowe knows that Manly aren't home and hosed by any means.
That field goal's looking pretty handy at the moment, Warren.
Manly leading by 9 points. Change in the kicker for Cronulla. Looks like Paul Bell is attempting the goal. It's waved away. 23-14 in favour of Manly. That was Wrigley with the kick.
It's a great play by Cronulla. You know, things didn't go quite their way, but again, as Manly did in the first half, they were able to capitalise on these types of mistakes. Very good play here, taking the ball straight to the line, and Cronulla, they're just working away. Cliff Lyons actually doing a lot of talking out there as far as their defence is concerned. But here, Mitch Healy, he does very, very well. Just watch how he blocks out Les Davidson, blocks out Darryl Williams as Les Davidson comes through. Darryl Williams wasn't able to get through because of Mitch Healy's the defensive ploy.
Manly leading by 9 points. Cronulla need a converted try to start with, and then they'll still be 3 points short. They've got 10 minutes.
I think today again's proved, Warren, if you can get a good shot at a team in their quarter, it's pretty hard to hold out. Any team, it doesn't matter what your attacking capabilities are, they're very hard to hold out in this type of football.
Quinn puts the kick through, Ridge allows it to bounce, and he's hammered. Ridge couldn't get to it on the full. Good tackle from Wrigley. Lyons has been quieter in the last few minutes, and now he's lost the ball. The referee calls it back. Lyons is hurt. The referee must have called a stoppage in play, or called that the tackle was complete before he lost it.
Well, here he is popping out of the dummy half once again, and Kurt Wrigley's the man there.
I think Lyons may have popped an accidental finger in the eye. He immediately grasped for his head as the tackle just came in swinging around his face. Obviously a serious injury. The tackler was Kurt Wrigley.
There he got the finger in the eye.
Accidentally.
No doubt about that, yeah. First point of contact was the eyeball, which is not real good for your health. And Cliffy's had a fair game today, but Manly be hoping he pulls up well.
The referee must have just called that the tackle had been completed, because Lyons then lost the ball and Cronulla were racing away with it. Mark McGaw down in the crowd watching on. He'd love to be both playing today and also playing for New South Wales on Wednesday.
Yes, injuries are unfortunately going to play their part in the Cup this year.
Cronulla had the chance with Healy on the Manly 22. Getting quite dark here at Brookvale. Kearns will play it.
There's a chance too. They've seen it too. They've got men there.
Healy, Bell gets it to Diamond standing wide. The Manly defence swarms across.
Yeah, good slide by the Manly defence. They had it covered reasonably well.
Still only 15 metres out. Bad pass comes from Bowen. Held up Healy's momentum. Still 15 out. Raper's going to work the play. Gives it to Borton. 10 out now. Fifth tackle. Gavin Miller's not out there. Who's calling the shots? Raper puts the kick straight into the arms of Cliff Lyons. One-eyed or not, he takes the catch. Good reflexes from Lyons. Mind you, the kick, I suppose, wasn't all that effective in the end.
No, I think he probably meant it to go along the ground, Warren. But the good reflexes by Cliffy, he must have recovered.
Darryl Williams in amongst the forwards. Manly wouldn't want to drop the ball because they don't have a single back apart from the winger, Iro, on the far side of the field.
Good hits by Robbie Kearns, 2 in a row.
Ridge, Raper chasing hard. Ridge gets his kick in. Quinn well positioned. Takes on Naval. and beats him. Flicks it well to Bound. Bound's got plenty of pace. He leaves Iro behind. Williams in front of him. He steps past him. He's got support in Bell. Bell down to the 22. The final pass to Bound goes astray.
Yes, the fact that they weren't prepared to play the ball has cost them dearly. Did some terrific work. The fullback, Quinn, linking up with Bound. Then Bell chimed in. That's when he probably should have played the ball. He looked for support again, and Bound in no position to take the ball. And, well, another trip to the Barbers by Arthur on Monday, I think, for touch of Grecian.
It was a great run, but it was the first tackle. Of course, the sidelight to this game has been the battle of the Queensland coach, the current Queensland coach, Graham Lowe, and the former Queensland coach, Arthur Beetson. But I'm sure it's club football that the two have got their minds on right at this moment. Chris White heads up towards the halfway line.
Yeah, with the extra possession going to Cronulla the last 10 minutes, David Borton, the leader for Cronulla, but Tony Mestroff going right up there to 35, John Jones 31, and Chris White 27, and they've been the nucleus of a pretty fair effort by the Manly defence today.
Kick downfield is made while two Manly players leave the field. Tony Iro and Matt Nable. Well, they're 10 metres out from their own line. Topper. Mail, he's broken through. Topper still going. I was about to say that he should have just given the pass. They had the overlap, but he did well in the end, going himself. Healy tries a little chip through. He's been knocked over and he's got the penalty. Really slowly off the ground.
Yes, see Topper going to the defensive line. The hole was on, and there's a trip by Chris White, I think it is. And there's a penalty for Cronulla. They can continue this domination of possession that they've had for the last 7 or 8 minutes.
Only Cronulla's second penalty of the game. And they find touch. 28 metres out. 5 minutes on the clock now. They're down by 9 points. They want the ball quickly. And we've got another change on there for Cronulla. Looks like Gary Lester. Number 20. They're only 25 metres out. Well, it's going to be a hard nut to crack. They go up the centre with Davidson. He goes straight through. Gets a pass to Raper. He flicks a great pass up to Lester. That's a superb try. Bit of pushing and shoving in the back play on Raper. Cronulla not out of it yet. They get within 5 points. I said it'd be a hard nut to crack, but Les Davidson took the nutcracker right between his fists, goes straight through. Raper on the inside, flicks up a great pass. It was very late, but the referee said it was okay. Lester backing up for the try.
Yeah, a rehearsed play around the rucks. There's a dummy by Raper, Aaron Raper. He stood up and popped the ball up to Gary Lester. He's only been on the field a couple of seconds, but good effort by Les Davidson. There he is, breaking a tackle. Aaron Raper was a dummy half, but he's good enough to pop a ball up to Gary Lester. That's a fine try. Maybe too late for the Cronulla side.
Gary Lester, if he can score a try per minute's played this often, he'll have a tremendous career. He's only been on the field 2 minutes, if that. Right in front of the post, Kurt Wrigley puts it straight through. The gap narrows. Manly fans move to the edge of their seat. 3 points in it.
Geez, isn't this game going right down to the wire? Cronulla hitting back strongly through Les Davidson. He's actually had a fairly good game, taking over the reins from when Gavin Miller came off. And what a great pass by Aaron Raper. He's had a good game. And this bloke, Gary Lester, what a way to start a game. Right.
The referee calls time off because Manly are taking all the time in the world to get back to halfway. They don't want to get on with it more quickly than they have to. Now the referee rules time on. Low. I'd say he'd be just about down on his knees praying. Can Cronulla steal it in the last 3 minutes of play?
Well, what looked like being a comfortable win, one's been opened up because Cronulla have gained some possession, a little bit of luck, which you need all the time. And now they're really putting pressure on Manly.
Arthur Beetson also shifting nervously in his seat. Both teams desperate for this 2 points. They really know that this 2 points keeps them in the semi-final race. If they don't get it, both on 4 points, well, it's going to be very difficult from here. A kick downfield, pins Ridge back inside his own quarter. The chase is down there. Leicester makes the tackle. Manly still a long way from getting back on side. Craig Hancock goes into dummy half. He has to go himself.
They'll be hoping to force an error now, the Cronulla side.
The panic would be going through Manly after the thrashings the last 2 weeks. They would be feeling very uncomfortable at this situation, but they just have to keep a cool head and play out the 6. O'Donnell's on the field there, a dummy half, and it goes to Williams, thumped heavily.
Robbie Kearns again, this lad can hit.
Hosking, possession the key, 5th tackle. Manly leading Cronulla 23-20. Slow play the ball. Hosking, like he wasn't penalised for not playing it. He was trying to milk a penalty.
Not a good kick either by Cliff Lyons. This has given Cronulla possession inside Manly's half.
But can you believe it? Cliff Lyons stayed on the ground for a moment there to pull his socks up. There's a minute and a half left in the game. Danny Lee. 25 metres out. Raper. Raper away from dummy half. He has shown some skills and ability to read the holes. On the blind side, Borton. It's gone to no one. Bound loses it. Oh, Lindsay Bound only had to fall on the ball. And his teammates shake their head in frustration. It was a bad pass initially, but Bound simply had to make sure of possession.
Yeah, Borton had to hurry his pass then because of the pressure. It was Borton getting nailed just as he passed the ball. Ill-directed pass, and could have been saved by Bound, but he's committed a sin at this stage of the game. Manly in possession now, and they'll just chew this clock up.
Only seconds remaining now, inside the final minute. Big hit comes in from Davidson.
And how hasn't enthusiasm changed the mode of this game? Cronulla were all out of it up until half-time, and even just a little bit after half-time. But I think they'll be ruining those missed shots at goal, Cronulla.
Absolutely, those 2 conversions which went wide. They weren't easy ones, but nor were they hard, as Coleman hasn't given up. He's up to halfway. Danny Lee, they've got to move the ball. The siren, very, very close. Leicester at dummy half. They go to the backs. The chance out wide. They keep it in tight. Healy goes back to the blind side. Now it's Wrigley. Puts it ahead for Coleman. Manly had plenty back there at Connor. That could save the day. The siren goes. Manly survive, but not before a late onslaught from Cronulla. And I'm sure both teams will look back and say well, their game could have gone either way. Crucial mistakes at many stages of the game by both teams. A bit of luck in a number of the tries. But Manly finally put a win on the board after a run of outs, and they've won 23-20.
So from Brookvale Oval, the home of Manly, this split round 7 of Saturday Super League goes to the Seagulls as they register their first win in 5 matches. Taking their premiership tally to 6 points, they're still alive in this year's competition.
4 tries apiece. Goal kicking was the difference for Manly. Tries to Hancock, O'Connor, Tuvey and Williams. Ridge kicked 3 from 4, and the field goal from Matthew Ridge telling as well. Cronulla tries to Higgins, Coleman, Davidson and Leicester. Healy 1 from 2, Wrigley 1 from 2. It was 23 points to 20. Let's go down to Hugh McGann with Cliff Lyons.
Cliff, you obviously wouldn't want all games like that to go that close to the wire, would you?
No, it was a great game. Both sides played strong, and we just held them out at the end there.
The ploy of going into dummy half, obviously by Graham Lowe, you think it worked for Manly today?
Oh, I think so. In that first half, worked tremendously. I even managed to make a few breaks from there, and it was good. It worked out well. The forwards kept hitting the advantage line, which we wanted, and everything that first half worked well. We got a bit tight at the end, and Cronulla were unlucky, but we held them out.
Obviously, hopefully, you're hoping that this will be a turnaround for Manly after some previous bad performances.
Yeah, well, that's what we worked for. We had to win today, just to give ourselves a bit of a chance. And it's still a tight competition, and it's anybody's ball game as far as I'm concerned. we can win next week and the week after, mate.
You had a great game today, Cliff, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks, Huey.
Manly by no means back out into open waters, but that win will certainly give them a lot of heart, and they'll be very, very pleased with it. We don't have Beatson's best today. We've got Peard's pick. Let's find out who it is. Jeff Tuvey, the little man. What a lot of ton of courage he's got in attack and defence. John, great player.
Yeah, wonderful, and it's coincided with Manly's improved performance, I'll say that. I thought they had it in hand early in the second half, but no doubt Cliffy Lyons' move to dummy half will get plenty of ink during the week and alert a few coaches for upcoming matches.
Well, Cliff Lyons certainly had an impact on the game. He started a number of tries. Let's have a look at one of them. I should say the other way around. Manly in possession.
Good run by Chris White then.
And now it's Tuvey. Tuvey cuts through, only the fullback in front of him. Now Tuvey's racing for the line. He's going to go all the way. Tuvey all the way. Here it is. Well, Lions starting the action here. Got the pass out to Tuvey, and Tuvey manages to beat the fullback.
Yeah, showed surprising pace too. Got those little legs pumping. He had a grand game today. It's taken him a couple of games, and that's only the fact that he had that injury, I think, and he's back to form, and Manly's on the improvement, I could say that. But Graham
I don't think you can say too much more than that at this stage, though. Only one game tomorrow to complete this half of the split round. It's Wests versus St George. Wests at Campbelltown. I think I'll go for St George. I hate to do it, but St George may be a little less affected by the Origin imposition. English